What's up, everybody, again? Let me see here. I'm streaming from my phone today from an undisclosed location. So, sorry. I've pinned a link in the chat to the stream if anybody wants to join and talk. I don't really have much of a show planned for today. I had a couple different things that I had started to do, and it's been a wild week or so. So if anybody wants to come join or whatever, you can. I'm going to talk a little bit about things that I got planned, scheduling stuff, what kind of content and things is coming up. The last that I did wasn't on my channel. I debated Kent Hovind over on Let's Farm, on the Let's Debate channel with Let's Farm. First of all, thanks to those guys for having me. And hi, Let's Farm, good to see you. Thanks for having me and stuff. And I think it went great. I feel like maybe Kent might have took an ass whooping that day. I came at it with a bit of a different approach, and I feel like it went well. But if you had, and I guess a couple of you probably do, but if you had any idea of the things that were going on that particular day, like, I probably should have canceled the debate and not even done it. But, like, I did the debate. Laura and Noah were sitting behind the green sheet behind me while I did the debate, being silent. Yeah, it was it was a wild one, but I think it went well. I think Kent ended up looking extremely sillier than usual. I don't think that he was prepared for that type of conversation. It throws Kent off his script whenever you get into, origins of the universe and cosmology and physics and stuff like that. He's used to one thing, and that's bitching about evolution. Philosopher, yeah. But anyway, that's the last thing I did, and not that that's been that long ago. It was last week, but I haven't done anything on my channel in a few weeks. There's been some stuff going on, and as you can see, I'm coming from a different location than usual, which I'll be doing. I hope to eventually fix this up somewhat and have a little place where I can do things. But this will be the room that it's done from, whether it's fixed up or not. For now, anyway. I may do some of them from outside or whatever. But anyway, I want to say hi to everybody in chat. Sorry if my hand ends up covering up the stream at some point. I've got my phone on a tripod sideways doing this because my computer's not hooked up in here. So, but what's up, Dave, and Let's Farm, and PC, and Spooky. Good to see you, Spooky. Haven't seen you in a while. What's up, everybody? That's all I see for the moment. I'm sure some more people will come in as we go. Maybe not. I haven't been doing this in so long. People probably think I quit streaming or whatever. But no, I'm still here. Is the audio and video and everything coming through clear for you guys? Because I don't usually do this from my phone. And I'm in, and sorry if you're hearing the fan in the background, but it's hot. It's hot in this room. There's no air conditioning in this room, so I'm in here with the door shut and a fan pointing at me. All right, good deal, good deal. Glad everybody can hear me. But anyway, I missed everybody and wanted to get on here and say hi to everyone and all that stuff. Next week, I'll have an apologist on. Christian apologist wants to discuss Jesus and the resurrection. I kind of hold the. I'm not like hardcore about it, but I hold the mythicist position that Jesus isn't a real person, or at the very least, that Jesus described in the Bible isn't a real person. There may have been a guy named Jesus that they eventually based some fictional story on, But if he was to look at that story, he wouldn't know it was about him. That's the position I take, that the story is completely made up. So, what's up, AJ? Good to see you. But yeah, so I don't. Furthermore, though, as far as like the Jesus and mythicism thing, I don't really think that it matters. I don't think that it matters at all, because even if I give you that story is based on a real person, I still think the supernatural occurrences and stuff didn't happen, and that they're impossible under the laws of physics that we live under in this reality. Um, I don't think that people die and get up and walk around. I don't think that 3 days later you get up and then physically ascend to heaven. And it just on that one alone, if Jesus physically ascended to heaven, then we should either, one of two things. We would either be able to see Jesus still flying through space, or because he was in his physical body, he had mass, so he's not going the speed of light. We would either see Jesus flying through space, or we would be able to see where Jesus went in space. Given the 2,000 light years isn't that much, isn't that far. I mean, it's a long way in terrestrial figures, but like in space, that's nothing. So anyway, so next week. Brandon Hendrickson is his name, or pastor, reverend, whatever the fuck it is. Brandon Hendrickson. He's an apologist. He's going to come talk a bit. It's not going to be a debate. I told him I would just. I seen a video of his. It's a small channel, a very small channel, like 100 subs, I think, if that. But I seen a video of his where he was talking about how we know the resurrection is true and all these things, you know, the usual stuff. And there were some things. It was just a solo video of him responding to something. Uh, Faith Hiller and Connors, yeah, no doubt. Let's form. That's right. But he was going on about it, and there was some stuff that he kind of glazed over and didn't really get into, and for good reason. And there was a lot of things about it, though, that I just didn't like, so I left him a message saying, hey, why don't you come have a discussion with me on my channel? It's not a debate. I just want to talk to you. And, you know, I'd like to ask some questions about some of the stuff you said. You can ask me some questions about some stuff if you want. And we'll, you know, we'll just have a nice talk. And, you know, I told him as long as he could be honest, I was interested in hearing about what he believed and why, and I would do it with as little pushback as possible, but I would explain to him why I don't hold the positions that he does on those things. So not adversarial, but still disagreeing. So that's kind of the idea for next Saturday at 3 o'clock. I plan to keep on streaming on Saturdays from 3 to 5 and redirect everybody over to Dave's at the Captive Desk for Saturday Night at the Atheist. That'll happen today too. We'll go right up until 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, you'll be automatically sent over there. All you got to do is hold on and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times, and you will make it to Dave's channel tonight. The Jesus from the Bible, working the second oldest profession, Faith Hiller and Connors. I love that. Let's see. Can I show comments on here without screwing everything up? Maybe. Yeah, there it is. Right on. So does it automatically? Jimmy Tux, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing, Tux? But yeah, so that's going to kind of be the conversation. I imagine that we're going to end up expanding on that and getting into lots of other things. What's up, Tilting Windmill? We'll probably talk a little bit about some of the other parts of the Bible and stuff, because the Bible's really the only source for any of this. He's going to claim church fathers and all that philosopher crap, and you know, whatever. Let him. I think that I think that I'm uniquely prepared to deal with that. So the on-screen chat from where I'm looking at, I can see like half of your avatar, and that's it. And I just see it flash on screen as the messages go by. So if I miss something or whatever, just holler at me. There's a link pinned though there for anybody that wants to join. What's up, limited light? 2,000 light years would only be 500 times the distance to Andromeda. Is that right? But I don't think that's right. I can't look it up. But maybe 2,000 light years would be. I don't think that's right. Maybe it is though. I wouldn't swear to it. The But anyway, like you're saying though, 2,000 light years isn't that far. Cosmologically speaking, it's not a huge distance. We're perfectly able to see that far. If Jesus physically ascended to heaven, then we'd see it. Even if you want to take that is metaphor or whatever, though, that runs into some other problems. But yeah. What is this? If my wife falls asleep, I will join. Don't want to interrupt her. Oh yeah. No, you're fine. Yeah. You're good. Anybody can join if they want. You don't have to. It doesn't matter. I'll sit here and ramble for 2 hours if that's what you want to see. 2.5 million light years from Earth. Yeah. Okay. Good deal. I thought it was a lot further because I thought the Milky Way was like 200,000 light years across. So just based on that, where we're at in it, it would have to be. But it has to be even bigger than that. Well, no, it doesn't. Not really. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, me and Let's Farm had been talking, and Let's Farm is a moderator and administrator over on my Discord server, and we were talking about different things to try and help make that a better place for everybody. And that's so he was working on that, and we got to talking about like things going on over on his channel, the Let's Debate channel or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I've got somebody that wants to debate me, and I don't really, care about doing it on my channel. Maybe we could, maybe we could do it over there. And I look nice today. Yeah, right. But maybe we could do it over there. If you're not just being sarcastic because like I'm dressed like a bum, if you're not being sarcastic, it's probably because I'm using my iPhone camera rather than my Brio. I'm doing this from my iPhone 14 Pro, or Plus or whatever the fuck it is. But I think it's Pro. But I will need you help with one thing, Joey. You have to add. What is that? You have to add the bot for me, and I will set it. Okay, yeah. Well, we can do that. Yeah, just hit me up in send me a DM and about what I need to do, and I'll do it. Should have said Alpha Centauri. Okay, yeah. The Discord bot. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we'll do that. But anyway, moving forward, you'll see slowly this room kind of transform and stuff as I'm able to do it. I'm sitting on this little blue IKEA couch thing I got that I've never even used for anything. I need to get a computer chair and set my desk up, and I've got some like RGB light strips and stuff, and I need to get some soundproof paneling and cover all that up back there, and a number of things I need to do. And I will do. Right now things are not great, so there's been I'm not going to get into the specifics, but there's been some drama my way, and things that's making this more than the difficult that it usually. Oh, this isn't my regular basement. This isn't that's why things look this way. I'm not where I usually am. Let's see. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Joe. Good to see you on, man.
Why do I got you? You joined twice or something here. Let me see. No, say something again,
No.
Dave. Okay,
How
it's
about
fine
now?
now. It's fine now. It popped up
Okay.
twice for me to add you, and then when you started talking, I had an echo, but it's fine now. It went away.
Might have just been because I clicked off your channel.
Yeah. Probably.
Gave it a hiccup.
But let me get back to the comments here. I hate running the stream from my phone. It's so difficult. But I mean, the way it's set up right now, I can see the comments though, which is good. So this isn't so bad. I mean, if I had like because I can't set up virtual backgrounds and stuff from mobile, it doesn't accept it. Um, but the so I'm gonna have to have an actual background, I guess. What's up, limited light?
Oh, just currently having a day of temperatures above 100 degrees.
You were a little muffled. One more time.
He said something about getting through another 100-degree day.
Oh yeah.
It's hot here too.
Yeah,
We
plenty of
got we
those,
got
huh?
we got heat advisories.
Yeah.
I'm going to remove my headset and see if the regular microphone works better. Give me a minute.
Okay. Yeah, that'll probably fix it. Anytime I use my headset mic, it sounds like I'm inside a tin can trying to talk. And my headphones aren't that bad either, but they're not the greatest, but they're not cheap either. So whatever. But
I buy the cheap ones. That way, when they break, I just throw it out and I pull another one out the box.
yeah. Well, see, I did that forever because I always wear headphones at night when everybody else sleeps and I'm always awake. Uh, I always wear headphones at night so I can watch TV without disturbing anybody or whatever, and work on the computer and all that stuff. But I went through several pairs of these the Walmart brand, the ONN brand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like those. They're really comfortable and they sound good and everything. But then I found on Prime Days, I found a deal on some on Amazon that I bought that that are pretty good, and I paid a little bit more for them, even though they were on sale too. And they've been really good. I forget what brand they are. I don't have them in here with me, but I don't like wearing headphones when I stream if I can get away with it. But sometimes I have to, depending on what I'm doing, who I'm talking to. How's things at the captive desk been, Dave?
Oh man, been busy. We're working on putting all new fascia boards, and then we're gonna put a roof up on the house. And my son came home from the auto parts store and said, "Hey, let's put brakes on my car." So last night we put brakes all the way around on his car, and man, it was miserable, just dripping sweat the whole time. It's like I sure don't miss doing that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Is
help
this
out friend.
microphone working any better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, you're a little better.
All right.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah,
last
that's
time
much
you
clearer.
invited me in, I was not in good shape myself. July 17th was Good Trouble Day rally, and there wasn't one locally, so I went up to Colorado Springs. It's about 40 miles away from me, and I use public transportation. So uh, I left here at 6:30 in the morning for something that wasn't happening until 6 at night. So I decided to take a long hike,
Yeah.
a long 5-hour hike, and after the hike, I'm off the trails and I'm headed towards a transit stop so I could get back into the main city. And I took a good old face plant on the side of the road, broke
Oh
my glasses, and I don't know if you can see a little bit of a scar here.
yeah, yeah, a little bit.
Yep, just and I still went to the damn rally. I
Good deal.
managed to find the Walgreens and get over the counter glasses. I could not even find the original glasses.
Yeah.
So for nearly
Oh,
4 weeks, I was going with bad over the counter reading glasses, squinting when I tried to type things into chat and all that. So yeah, I didn't want to try to come in last time.
right. Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks for joining, and in it, you're always welcome anytime I do these. I try to leave them open. Anybody that wants to join, come hang out and talk or whatever. Um, I had done a lot of these open panels on my members only streams, which will be going back to Mondays. Um, and but I hadn't really done them on public stuff lately because I had some problems with it in the past, especially with like pinning the link and stuff with people coming in and causing problems and things like that. But I don't really give a
Mm.
shit now, so whatever. But hey, I tell you what, I took a tour bus to Washington D.C. the first time I went there, and the first night in DC, one of the last couple places we went to was the Jefferson Memorial, which, if you've ever been to it, or if you've never been to it, it's amazing. It's really cool. Um, uh, right after that was Iwo Jima, which is the one I was wanting to go see. I really wanted to see that. I thought it's just one of my favorite statues and stuff in DC. But the I was stepping off the bus to go to the Jefferson Memorial, and whenever I stepped off, the ball of my foot hit the curb, but the rest of it didn't, and I rolled my ankle over and broke the hell out of it. And so I spent that night in a hotel room in extreme pain, and spent all the next day in the hospital. The I was 17 at the time, so they sent me to the National Children's Hospital in DC, which, don't let the name fool you. It's called the National Children's Hospital, but it's for everybody. um, but I tore my ankle up pretty good there, and so the rest of that trip sucked. Having to walk the streets of DC and all that stuff on crutches, in a lot of pain was awful. But yeah, so
I've been there many times. I can't imagine with all the walking that you could do doing that on crutches.
yeah, and I mean it was with a group, so there was like, I think there was like 50, 60 people that went all together. So like, in order to stay with the group, I had to, keep moving. And man, I was just wore out and beat up by the time I got back. My armpits were bruised because I'd never been on crutches before. Well, not for more than a couple days anyway. And,
Mrs. Desk says hi, Joe.
oh, hey, what's up, Renee? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to just dox you off.
That's all right.
but, but yeah, yeah, that's rough, especially when you're out of town and something like that happens and you don't, have for me the limited resources I have anyway when I'm at home, to not even have those to try and pull something like that off sucks. But I smoked a lot of weed and made it through it. Uh, one of the
Well,
best decisions I ever made in my life was in DC. when I first got there, we went to Arlington National Cemetery, and then we were going to take the subway into downtown DC. And I had this little like clear square box thing I had gotten from a head shop that had like a little metal pipe in it and had rolling papers and stuff in there. Anyway, I could fit a bag of weed, a pipe, and rolling papers all in this little tiny box, and I could just put it in my pocket. And as I was getting off the bus, I was like, well, I'm going to take this with me in case there's someplace I can stop and smoke a joint or something, smoke a bowl or whatever. And this was back 20 years ago. So, anyway, I get off the bus with it in my pocket, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I ought to put this back on the bus while I'm here. And I went and put it back on the bus, and I'm glad I did because we didn't see the bus again. We went straight from there to the Capitol, and I wasn't aware that they were going to, like, walk us through a metal detector and scan our stuff and all kinds of stuff, and got drug sniffing dogs all over DC. Like, they have drug sniffing dogs just walking around checking trash cans and stuff. Like, I mean, as you can imagine, the security's pretty taut there. So yeah, this is a good decision to put it back. One of the best decisions I made. But whatever.
So in
I
other
would
words,
I
uh,
would, I would hate to
this
go
was back
without
when.
glasses though. If I had to have them to see, to not be able to see like I'm used to anyway, uh, that would suck. Being stuck somewhere else like that. About the
So this
Capitol
was back
man,
when W was in office.
what is it?
This was when W was in office.
When I was there was when maybe no, I was there in Clinton. Would it have been Clinton?
It must have been a little more than
It
20
would
years
have it would
ago.
have had to have been Clinton because uh, I voted for the first time I voted was my senior year, and I voted for Al Gore, and this was the year before that, so it had to have been Clinton. Uh, yeah, but that's weird though because I don't remember. I don't. Well, yeah, maybe because I bought a bunch of like I had a shirt that I bought that said "Keep off the grass" and had a picture of the White House behind it
Hmm.
and had a big pot leaf on it. Uh, that I later got pulled over in and caused me all kinds of problems.
But you
I
could have
said,
just said, you could have just said, I never inhaled. I
yeah,
smoked it, but I never inhaled. I feel your pain.
I did not have sexual relations with that doobie. Uh,
Yeah, you
Figure
did.
out what the meaning of the word
I did
is.
not. The
Or did he do this? Was he doing the thumb thing? Because
what
I
is it?
thought John Kerry started that. Was he doing that? Was he going, I did not? Was instead of pointing, was he doing the thumb thing back then?
During the I don't know actually. It seems like during the part where he's saying, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." I think he did during that, but I don't know. Maybe he did point because he did a lot of this. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm
there
sure it's on
was
video on YouTube somewhere.
Bob
I'm
Dole did
curious.
that. Bob Dole did this number a lot with
Huh.
but he had a bum hand. So, but yeah, Bill Clinton, things not looking good for him right now, is it? But
What's that?
I said things aren't looking good for old Bill right now. He's which
He's on the list.
he's on the list. Uh, but I mean, is anybody really surprised? And also though, like, here's the difference. Here's the difference in the most common leftist position and the some of the people on the right. If Bill Clinton did something, I want him held responsible for it. You know, like I want that out there. Whereas the other side doesn't want the truth about their guy out. You know, like they don't. they don't, and if the truth does come out, they'll just deny it. So,
Well, you saw what he did with his magic Sharpie the other day, didn't you?
yeah.
He didn't like all the numbers that came out, so he just got out some charts in his Sharpie, and he goes, "Look, everything's doing great." And I'm like, "Magic Sharpie's back."
And he didn't like the numbers, so he fired the statistician.
Yeah, he made up his own. So there you go.
Yeah. And you know, not trying to get into a whole big political thing. I mean, we don't have to do that here. I'm going to be talking about that.
As far as the political I get is what South Park's been doing lately. I was just watching it last night, and it's just great.
Yeah, no. See,
I won't give it away if you haven't seen it, but you have to see it.
I know how to like animate somewhat in the way, like in the same style that South Park does their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's originally what I wanted to do on this channel. Was I never was going to appear. I was going to have an animated character that I just.
Me too. Yeah. I even have Moho software and everything, but I was just like, man, this is a lot of work.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, that was the thing, because at the time I was only doing recorded videos anyway, and it was taking me a whole week to put together each video, and that's like several hours every day, working all night, every night.
Apologia says he puts in a like a 40-hour week for to make a cartoon, so it's a lot of work. Yeah.
What's up, Rainbow Ash? Rainbow Ash. I know you don't know Rainbow Ash. Dr. Mordecai.
Rainbow hangs out with us.
Yeah. I had to think about it for a second. I've been away for a minute, you know. I haven't been around a lot.
I think we picked up Rainbow hanging out over at Chris's channel in the morning.
Yeah. Chris, I haven't talked to him much either. Like, I haven't talked to anybody though. I've talked to you, Dave. I've talked to Let's Farm, and I talked to Chess, of course.
We got to check on you. Make sure you're behaving.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. People started messaging me like, "Hey, I'm worried about you. Are you okay?" And I was like, "Well, maybe I ought to do a stream and at least let everybody know I'm living and you know."
Not belly up.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I would say.
Not behind bars, even more importantly.
Physically, I am probably doing better than I have been in a while.
Good.
Everything else though is complete shit.
Yin and yang. Yin and yang.
That's a whole nother story. They'd probably take this video down if I told it honestly, but maybe somewhere down the road. But yeah, so I figured I better do something or whatever, and so I kind of threw this together real quick, and like I said, I'll eventually fix this room up and have a place where I can do things.
They were asking how brought it up where you'd been, and people were asking how far did you move?
Oh, not far, right down the road.
Okay.
Yeah, like 2.5 miles.
We were hoping you'd get out of Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Well, then he'd have to change the state name. You know, he'd be the Tennessee atheist, or the Ohio atheist, or the West Virginia atheist.
The artist formerly known as the Kentucky atheist.
There you go.
Yeah. No. You know, I mean, I would still be the Kentucky atheist. I was still raised and indoctrinated and deconstructed in Kentucky. So.
All you need is a magic Sharpie, and you can just put Kentucky wherever you're at.
We could just draw the border out and
draw a little line around, a circle around you. And I'm right here. It's still Kentucky.
There you go.
I will say Kentucky was nice. I heard Jay Bundy talking about it last night. We enjoyed our visit to Kentucky, so we're not dissing on Kentucky or anything like that. Folks, we're all nice, and everything. So,
Yeah. Hey, Tux, it's you know this is art. Nobody said it was good art, or beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? So, but yeah, it's art of a kind. Uh, um, Joe, the atheist that everyone treats like an old chicken wing. Uh, well, honestly, I mean, like, so my streams and stuff, and my interaction with what I call the atheist community, the people who come and watch my streams, is beneficial for my mental health. Honestly, I mean, like I benefit from getting to sit down and talk to people that aren't from Kentucky, and like-minded people, and have good conversations and see the chat going, and I like that people feel like that they get something from coming and watching and all that stuff. So I mean, there's like a selfish reason for it. It's not just for you guys. Although I do care a lot about uh, the, uh, the people in this community, and the people that support the channel, and the people that struggle with the things that many of us have struggled with and continue to struggle with. So, you know, there are selfish reasons for doing it too. And I'll be honest about that. I get a lot from this, and I hate not being able to do it. What I really hate is like I can't just start a video and be like, okay, guys, today we're going to talk about the resurrection, and just give you some like essay type thing about the resurrection. I can say those things, sure, but it's not going to be very good. And for my audience, most of them know more about the shit than I do anyway. So like, it's not there's. I feel like I would be the dancing monkey in that case. I would just be performing for you. And I don't like this as a performance. I like to come and be myself, and be genuine, and you know, that kind of thing. I think it works better for me. Whether it makes good content, or you consider it art, or any of those other things, doesn't really matter. I enjoy it, so fuck you. But yeah. But I
Well,
seen you. I
speaking of
seen you sneak by, Jester. What's up, Jester and Randy? Good to have you. I don't think I've missed anybody yet. But
so speaking about trying to just talk about something off the top of your head, I found I just in the past couple of years I was telling myself, okay, I'm going to read the Bible. I've made the decision. I don't believe, but I'm going to read it anyway.
yeah,
And um, I got I forget the guy's name, the Skeptic's Annotated Guide to the Bible. I forget the name of the guy that did it, Steve something, Steve W. Uh,
yeah,
I don't like the job that he did. I don't know why he chose the KJV, but regardless, I knew a lot of it
yeah,
uh, from the sporadic stuff that you would get from the, you know, before leaving faith. What you get
yeah.
from the pulpit, etc. What surprised me was how long they were talking about the exile in Babylon, and it seemed like the one thing about the KGB, or at least what was done in the annotated guide, there were no quote marks. So I'm like, am I reading a narrator's thing or something someone said? At times that wasn't clear. And it seemed like they were shifting perspectives from someone in Babylon to someone in Israel back to someone in Babylon. So the amount of time that they're talking about the exile, that was one thing that surprised me. And I think since I was raised Lutheran, that maybe some of the stuff that came after the Gospels and Paul's letters, some of that other stuff, maybe Lutherans had left out. So I'm going with some of the things after Paul's writing, I'm going, this stuff doesn't sound all that familiar. But there was a lot of it that, yeah,
I, so I had read, but when I was still a believer and even young Earth creationist, I had I had read the Bible cover to cover once, and then had looked at various different books of it numerous times. The things that were, nobody wants to read like the Big Odds more than one time. Once you've read that, you're good. But
I was reading it digitally, and I kept swiping past it real fast when it
yeah,
came to the God.
yeah. Uh, and I've got several different types of Bibles now. I've got a recovery Bible, which is interesting, that I kind of reference sometimes, and look at the notes and stuff that they put in there for that kind of thing. And
The
then
only
I've
real
got
Bible is the KJV, Joe. You know that.
in English, right?
In English.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
No. There's the Tinsdale and the Coverdale before that. I
Not the
still don't get
people. The
how.
people I cover are all KJV.
yeah,
It's just a joke.
that's
Yeah, well, see, I
blasphemy.
was going to make a different joke.
Yeah.
How the heck?
Okay.
How the heck did the lead singer of Whitesnake go back centuries and write a translation of the Bible? The Coverdale, the David Coverdale Bible?
Let
What
it
the
all
hell? Here
Flashback.
I
loose.
go again.
That's a flashback.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree
Anyway,
with you. Let's Farm. Don't read it cover to cover. If you have never read the Bible and you're interested in reading the Bible, I would urge you to get like some kind of study Bible, or do it online. Do some kind of thing online, or just go watch atheist content, because you can get the whole Bible in eventually, all the important parts for sure. The So once I realized that I didn't believe that the Christians had it right. I still believed in a God at this time, but once I thought, well, because I had been exposed to some other religious texts and stuff, and some other creation stories and things like that. And once the thought entered my head of, hey, both of these people can't be right, but they can both be wrong. Once that thought crossed my mind, I had a whole new fascination with the Christian Bible. The Parts of it, then you look at a lot differently, like because then the story of Noah's Ark, for example, just starting at the beginning, the well, creation's a problem too, but skip that for now.
The magic zoo boat. The
The
magic
magic,
zoo boat.
yeah. Whenever I looked at that story, of course, as a kid, I was raised, and it was this cute story, kid story, where we colored pictures, and it was supposed to be, oh, God made a rainbow, like there was a bird, all that crap. Like it was made to be like a children's fable, and I actually did see it as a fable at that point, but the thing that bothered me about it is then you no longer look at it as God doing this great thing, or whatever. Then you see, well, all of these people that are called wicked are just people, right? And like, I would be considered wicked because I don't believe that's the worst thing you can do. So God murdered, like, you talk about a whole earth full of people, and you realize how many people, how many babies and women and infants and unborn and animals and all those things that were
And what
killed.
did the animals do? Right?
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, because then you have, well, who's really the wicked ones in here? Like, even if there was giants and people sleeping with angels and angels banging women and all that stuff, like, even if all that was going on, like, who's wicked in that situation? The people banging without God's permission, or the one that murdered millions, possibly billions of people? Um, and some Christians will even, I seen an apologist here recently making the point that the earth actually was more populated during Noah's time than it is now, is what they tried to say. Which, I mean, I, I mean, you could say anything, right? At this point, it's just all unsupported claims, and I learned to get this like filter, to where whenever you say something to me, whether it's Oh, I can add effects. Um,
Oh,
I can add effects. You turn on reactions to express yourself with a hand gesture during a video call. Go to Control Center and tap Video Effects. No thanks. Um, the but I got this filter for it to where it's like whenever you make a claim, I'm like, okay, I became a skeptic. Essentially, is what I'm getting at, right? I got to that point to where it's like I'm not just going to accept whatever you tell me at face value. Like I want to know why you believe that, why you're saying it, what supports it. Is there physical evidence? Is there circumstantial evidence? Is there any reason even to suggest what you're saying is true? And I started to look at things through that lens. And when I started to do that, that's whenever I became extremely interested in science, because science had all. I'd always been interested in science, but like I really got into science as an adult and started learning about cosmology and physics and a lot of that other stuff. Evolution. I probably took less formal education on evolution than the other stuff. In fact, I know I did, but now I would say I'm probably pretty strong in that area now, just from all the debates and conversations and arguments and all that shit. What do you got there? Oh, it's a cat. I wasn't sure what was popping up on screen there. But
Gato.
yeah, but yeah, and you would think, like, as a creationist in rural Kentucky, growing up with all this stuff, that there would be a lot of traumatic things, and like it would be like this, oh, it's this horrible thing and all this stuff. And really, like, my deconversion, that the part where I was in jail was probably more traumatic than any of it. But like, uh it's not this big traumatic story. Now, if you talk about like everything, like being the addiction and all that other stuff with it and everything, then it gets a little more it gets a little more crazy. But just whenever I found out it wasn't true, it was like the series of steps that followed that was just made sense, really. I mean, like, and it was a pretty quick thing for me once, because for a creationist, and I think this is the reason. I think that young Earth creation apologists are the reason that creationism is dying. I think that they're the reason that they see the numbers slowly falling off, is because we have access to all this information now so easily. I mean, you can just with your voice ask your phone. I'm not going to say the word because I don't want everybody's phone and chat to go off, but the you can just ask your phone and find out, like, when somebody says the earth is 6,000 years old and you see two people arguing about it, so you go and you say, hey phone, uh, how do we know the earth isn't 6,000 years old? I mean, a really simple, easy question. And without AI, I mean, you could find actual sources for it. And then if you find a place like Talk Origins or whatever, of course, but like, you can easily find information that shows you demonstrably that that's not true. So at that point, I didn't have a problem, because once I had seen some evidence and seen that, I just for me it was like, okay, well, that's not true. And then it wasn't until later where I sat and thought of the implications of that. And where I'm at now is that, so the way I word it to other people is, if it turns out that there is no God, but for myself, I will say my position is there is no God. There's no there's no reason to suggest there's a God. Sure, you could be right, but you could wake up tomorrow and tell me, like, a pixie that lives under my porch controls the universe, and that would be just as likely.
It's Bigfoot, Joe. Come on.
Or Bigfoot. Yeah, I don't know
Come
why
on.
I didn't
Gosh.
know why I
I'm right
didn't.
here. I'm
Hey,
Bigfoot right
it's
here.
hey, it's that time, Joe. I got to duck out and get ready. So
All right.
we'll
Thanks, Dave. I'll send everybody over there to you at 5 o'clock.
appreciate it, and yeah, we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Take it easy,
Okay.
man.
Yep.
Bye. But let's see. Do I have to take him off screen? I think I do. There we go.
All right, you're gonna have to run a poll for the people that remain in chat. Do I look like Bigfoot?
How do we know what Bigfoot looks like?
Whatever uh, cognitive map, cognitive image that they have of Bigfoot in their heads.
Why did Dave leave cause me to lose my video? Do you guys see me on video?
You went in and out.
Do you see me on video right now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I don't. All I have is a black screen on my end for the video. Okay. All good. What's up, Sumami? What's up, Liz? Let's see. Who else did I miss? Dr. Mordecai, already seen. Jester, already seen. That's everybody. All right. I try to keep up and make sure I say hi to everybody at least once, you know. But, all right. Now, what were you saying again?
Oh, I was just joking about Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot.
Uh,
Saying you look like Bigfoot.
I was
Yeah.
going to ask you when you were in recovery, did you have like people in power that tried hard to get you to continue to believe?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, was it
So,
you hear about the
are
12
you from
steps?
Kentucky?
No,
Okay.
I grew up in southern New York State.
Okay.
I'm going to ask another question after that based
Well,
on that.
I'll just quickly. So, in Kentucky, pastors can pose as counselors legally. So you can go into a drug program and they can have a pastor come see you and do your counseling, and with no background in substance abuse treatment, with no background in psychology, with none of that, with no medical background whatsoever. Just any pastor. They don't even have to have went to seminary. So um, yeah. Yes is the answer to that question. There were a lot of people, even within the programs that I went to. There were, in fact, there was one place where once a month they had these evangelical people come in and do prophecies and all kinds of crap. And like, if you came and watched that, you didn't have to go to your group that week and stuff. Like they replaced it for your group by making you go sit through Christian stuff. And I was an atheist then, and had to go sit through that. But yeah. So what's up, deconverted man? But yeah, go ahead with your next question.
So, would you consider the part of Kentucky that you're in part of Appalachia?
Oh sure, I'm as far east as you can go. Well, that's not actually true. So I'm right on the border of West Virginia, Ohio, and Kentucky. So definitely Appalachia here.
Okay. Um, I from '96 to 2000, I was studying in a part of Southeast Ohio, and one of
Mm-hmm.
the professors had a map in his office of Appalachia, and it sure looked like that map was stretching into Pennsylvania on up to the part of southern New York State that I grew up in.
Oh sure. No, I agree with that. Appalachia stretches from New York all the way down into the Carolinas.
Yeah, it kind of explained one of the guys I knew, almost a neighbor, lived like half a mile away, but where I was at, the town only had 700 people, so
Feel
some
you.
people are a little more spread out than others. People
My
think in New York, a lot of people think in New York State apparently and think either it's New York City or something else, and they probably still think it's all cities.
yeah. I have some friends from rural New York who have lived in just as rural conditions, if not more, than I do. But I'm from Kentucky, so I'm the hillbilly here, right? But yeah, no. So when I grew up, our school we had kindergarten through sixth grade was in one building, and seventh grade through 12th grade was in another building, and both of those buildings together, the whole school all the people that went to school there was 300 people. Um, for that school district. That's all that went to the whole school. Is independent school, and so yeah, I lived in rural areas, and I've lived in places a lot smaller than that since then. Just here around this same area, I still live in that same somewhat area. I'm in a different county, but only 20 minutes down the road from where I grew up at.
Yeah. Although my town was small, there were within like 15 miles there were small cities. In fact, a lot of people won't believe this. Mark Twain's wife was from a city 15 miles away from where I grew up,
Sure,
and he spent a lot of his time in that city.
sure.
So talking about class sizes and all that, um, people in my town, we either went in that direction, go 10, 15 miles to a school in that area, or 10, 15 miles in the other direction. So I think my graduating class was probably something like 280, 300 something,
Yeah.
somewhere
Now,
between 280 and 380. I'm trying to remember decades ago.
my graduating class was only like 40 people. At that school, but I ended up not graduating from there. My dad died when I was 11, and I had to switch schools when my mom remarried, and so I went to a county school after that. And my graduating class had 1,200 people in it then, just the senior class. So it was a big change for me going from a really small school in a place where nobody locked their doors, everybody was in each other's business, and the church pretty much ran everything in that little town, to go into a county school where, you know, you went to school, so they got paid. From the time, so I quit going to that independent school in sixth grade. And in sixth grade, I knew how to multiply, divide, do fractions, and all that stuff. The independent school I went to was on a college grading scale, so you had to get a 94 to get an A. The Or was it 93? No, 93 is B. 94 and up was an A. So it was harder in that aspect, but also like they actually educated you there, and they paddled you too, though, which was crazy. But for getting like a C on a test, you got paddled. But
Really?
yeah, and this was in the 90s. But
Well, in the 70s, we still had pedaling going on, but it was for behavior, not for performance.
Right. There was only, when I say that, there was only two teachers in the whole school that actually paddled people for bad grades. Um, Nobody else did that. It was for behavior. And I got paddled with a paddle a few times and got it with a yardstick. The principal broke a yardstick on me, hitting me with it. Not one of them new yardsticks either. One of the old ones that are made out of actual wood.
Mm.
That's made out of a big piece of hardwood. But yeah, they did that in school. And like if you got in trouble in, like when I was in elementary school, if you went to school and got in a bunch of trouble, the school didn't like they didn't suspend you or do anything like that. The church came to your house, not the school. They Because it was such a small area, they knew wherever there was only like a handful of church. I mean, there were still more churches than there needed to be, but there was only a handful of churches that everybody went to there in town. And so, if you went to one of those churches in town, it was either your youth pastor or the church. If the church pastor showed up, you'd really fucked up. But they would come to your house and want to talk to you and your parents about what's going on, and we need to get Joe coming to church. And why don't you for the next couple months make sure you make it to Sunday school every week? That would be the thing. And like instead of being punished at school, I would go to Sunday school, and my Sunday school teacher a lot of times would be one of the teachers from school who also did Sunday school, which is weird as fuck now I think. But
Yeah.
um, they would not necessarily like punish you. Now there was one time they did, like, while we're doing Sunday school stuff and we're having fun singing songs and doing this stuff, you go sit in that room by yourself. Like they did that to me once. But usually what they did was is they tried to embarrass you and make a scene about it. So like they would say, all right, so how's everybody doing this Sunday? And, blah, 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 let's pray and all that bullshit. And then they would say, well, what's been going on this week? Joe here got in trouble at school this week. You want to tell him what you did, Joe? You want to stand up and tell everybody what you did to get in trouble? And stuff like that. Or they would be like, Joe's been given in to the temptation from the devil and all this stuff. Or like, I asked them one time how when I was 5 or 6, I asked how did they fit all the animals on one boat? They said if you want to ask questions, you can burn in hell. I mean, so from an early age, like, and that was integrated into everything. So I didn't like. There was no planning to go to church every week. The church van showed up at my house, and if and they just or if I was out playing somewhere in the neighborhood, they would just come say, "Come on, time to go to church." Like it, and you, because of that dynamic where they were involved in all that stuff, it makes you feel like that they were an authority to tell you to do that, like you had to do it. Um, so there was a lot of that. It was a weird thing growing up like that. And if like you didn't go to, like if I'd been going to church and then I quit going to church for 2 weeks, if I didn't show up at church for 2 weeks and didn't explain to somebody why I wasn't showing up for church, um, they would bring the whole like youth group to my house during youth group. Like they would all get, we're gonna go over to Joe's. He's not been here the last couple weeks. He's given into that temptation, and we're gonna go over and we're gonna pray for him, and we're gonna sing a couple songs, and we're gonna get Joe back in here. We're gonna try and get him to go with us. It'd stuff like that, and that was common. I mean, like I thought everybody did that though, because growing up
So,
out. Go ahead.
I interrupt.
No, go ahead.
So, you said your parents got divorced,
My dad
mom
died.
remarried?
Yeah,
Oh, your dad died. Okay,
yeah.
and remarried. So was she not taking an act? The way that I was going to church was, yeah, my parents divorced, but I won't go into the details. But dad wound up raising my older brother and I, and uh, there would have to be some outside force. Dad was taking us.
Yeah.
That was just the way the family was. So, are you saying that your mom and stepdad were not the ones taking you to church, but that the community was pulling you in?
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, what's up, Filbert and Objective Ethics and Aunt Jer? Hi guys. Thanks for coming. So it's a weird thing for me because the reason that my dad died was he was a real bad diabetic, and he eventually went blind and had a stroke when he was 41 that killed him. And but for those years leading up to that, when my dad was very sick, um, my parents quit going to church regularly. And the church understood that, though, with them because my dad was so sick and needed constant care, and I had a lot of health problems. So, and my mom was working midnights, and so I was giving my dad his insulin shots and checking his sugar and stuff when I was like 8 and 9 years old. Uh, I was doing that multiple times a day, cooking for myself, taking care of myself, and pretty much, I mean, my dad was blind. He just sat there, so I had to pretty much do all that. So, anyway, so my parents had kind of quit going to church, but they were still believers. Like we still prayed before every meal, and still had nights where we sat and talked about religion and stuff like that. Like it was still a normal thing. Um, the the church itself, though, where it was such a small town, they knew that. Um, they knew the situation, right? So, and they knew that my parents were religious and wanted me to go to church. So they kind of used that like as the reasoning for, but they did it to everybody too. So, but yeah,
Mm.
it was more the community and stuff. I mean, I live in a deeply, deeply religious area, fundamentalist religious too. So like it was very much the whole community thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, that's just very different from my experience. I mean, whole bunches of people were going to churches, but they were going to usually whatever denomination the parents and grandparents and great grandparents had been. So it wasn't like somebody else was getting up in somebody else's business, like somebody three doors down. Oh, yeah, you don't go to church, or you haven't been going to church lately, because people were going to their own denominations.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I'm.
it was so a weird thing here in this part of Kentucky, anyway. Uh, Even though we have like now, there's some that don't fall into this, but almost all denominations are actually just Southern Baptists here. Um, they're kind of
But
like there's churches with different denominational names, but they're all about the same.
mm,
With a few exceptions. The Pentecostals, we have the snake biting people here and all that stuff, and like the uh, um, Catholics, there are very few, but there are some. And of course, like you said, Lutherans and Presbyterians, that's a little bit different. And of course, as you get into other stuff, there's some differences and stuff. But like, there's no Jews here, there's no Muslims here, there's none of that, or there might be now. I'm sure there is now, but Jehovah's Witness wasn't really much of a thing here at the time. There's quite a few of those here now. Mormons wasn't a thing here at the time, but
what about now?
there's a few. Mormon missionaries came to the house here like a few weeks ago, and they wouldn't let me record it though. Um, but I sat and talked down to two Mormon missionary girls. They came and so I had signed up on this thing to get a free Book of Mormon on the internet just because I wanted to check it out and to have one to reference and stuff. And I wanted to read parts of it that I hadn't read. And so I signed up for that, and it asks for your information so they can send it to you. What they don't tell you is that really what they do is they take that information and they give it to the missionaries, and they send them to your house with it. Uh, and so they came here, and I talked to them and stuff. But that's the only Mormons I've ever talked to here, and they're not from here. Um, I don't I don't think there's any Mormon churches or anything around here at all. Uh, uh, but but yeah, everything is kind of like it's all Southern Baptist. It's all kind of the same. There's some small differences in some of them, but I mean, it's all pretty much the you're a piece of shit and don't deserve God and all these things, and the Southern Baptist way, fire and brimstone, and telling you you're an awful person and don't deserve it, but stick with us and maybe
I
we'll
think
get you
unless
there.
you're Unitarian,
Uh,
uh, I think unless it's something like Unitarian, which I've never checked out and I don't think I want to, um, or even more progressive stuff, if you really boil it down, it's still really saying you're a
oh
piece
yeah,
of shit. You're not good enough. You're just lucky that God loves you and sent his only son stuff. I think really just about every denomination, you strip it down far enough and get people to be honest enough, that's what it is.
no, I agree with that now. Looking back on it now, I see the similarities and the things that are the same and the things that are different and stuff. I don't really know. So, like, even in my youth group, um, I was part of like, whenever I was a teenager, I was part of the traveling youth group. And what we did was we went to all kinds of different churches within about 100 miles of here. And, and that was the thing. Like, we might go to, um, a Pentecostal church, even like just not one of the crazy ones that are here, but like we would go to a Pentecostal church, and that they would be like preaching that same thing our church would, like, because it was so close to similar. Like, rather than everybody shitting on every other denomination, they didn't do that. It was all pretty much the same. Now they would tell you, like, if there was like the go-to thing was them Pentecostals. They're all going to hell. They're not real Christians. They're letting snakes bite them and talking in tongues and stuff like that based on one sentence in the Bible, but they don't believe in this other stuff. And like you could have that conversation on a broad scale, but most individual Pentecostal churches, if you went to, unless someone told you were at a Pentecostal church, you wouldn't know it. Whereas some Pentecostal churches that I've been to now, you don't have to ask me. I know it's a Pentecostal church. Just, and my grandmother was devout Pentecostal. But again, her version of Pentecostal was closer to Southern Baptist, even though she was in kind of some of the crazy stuff too, though. Like they did some of that. Like they didn't do the snake biting stuff, but I think they like drank bleach and like stuff like that. Like did some weird shit. But
When I was 5, we got invited to something that it had to be Pentecostal. There's nothing like snake stuff going on, let alone drinking a bleach. But some play was being put on. I won't say that. I'm trying to remember something from when I was 5, but still, um, the the whole approach was different from anything had dealt with in the first 5 years of life that I can recall or have ever seen after, until seeing something like the recordings of Paula White in 2020.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a wild one, ain't it? Can you believe she's got an office in the White House? Uh, that's if you've heard some of the stuff she says. Spooky Bed Hair has drinking bleach question mark. So you hear about these churches that do the snake bite stuff, like that's the popular thing, but there's other churches that don't do the snake bite thing that does these things, but the ones that do the snakes also do this other stuff. So it's the verses or the verse in the Bible that they pull that from talks about the venom from a snake won't kill you, poison can't kill you, all these things if you just believe in God. If you're in God's grace and all this other shit, so you can drink the worst poisons and nothing will happen. So that's where the at least the foundation for those things are, and so most of as far as I know, all the churches that do the snake bite stuff, like they also dabble in like rat poison and bleach and like doing like small doses of that stuff to show that whatever. And there's been a number of Pentecostal pastors across the country, across the continent, that have poisoned themselves and died. And of course, there's been several generations of families of pastors here in Kentucky that have died from snake bites from rattlesnakes and copperheads, and which not really copperheads. They won't really kill you unless it's certain
Hey
circumstances.
Joe,
Anyway, it doesn't
I'm
matter.
gonna exit. I'm gonna exit from the EV Mugs and go back to YouTube. So if somebody
Yeah,
else wants to join you on the panel here,
sure.
and in about 15 minutes, I'm gonna go see what Godless Granny's got going on.
Right on, right on.
Got to meet
Love
her at
love some godless
the
granny.
you got to meet her at the
Oh yeah,
protest for the Ark, right?
yeah, yeah. Got
Was
that.
that the
Got to.
first time you ever got to meet her?
Yeah, yeah. I actually sat. I sat right beside her through the whole protest and talked to her a lot. Got to talk to her quite a bit. And yeah, Godless Granny's awesome. She's great, and she gave an amazing speech at the protest. It was just great. But
Cool.
but yeah, tell her I said hi.
All right. So
Yeah.
I'll get a little bit more time here just watching from YouTube and then switch over to that in a bit.
Oh,
Thank
PC says that she's got Mark Alsop on today. Mark Alsop is a author from Kentucky that was also at the protest, and so yeah, good
you. Okay.
show. Yeah,
All right.
Mark's a good friend of mine.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, bye. All right. Okay. My video disappeared again. Uh, all right. So, anybody else wants to join? You're welcome to. Uh, you didn't see the Granny talk. Godless Granny is definitely on the Pangburn one, but I'm pretty sure Chris over at Daily Atheist, I'm sure she's in Anybody That Released the Video. She also released a video of her own speech there, so that might be the easiest way to watch just her speech. But but yeah, I didn't put any of this stuff out on my channel. But yeah, interesting talk there, and happy to meet Limited Light for the first time there. First time joining the stream and stuff. I've seen some other people pop in here. I thought maybe not. I want to try and say hi to everybody. Big Bad Mama, what's up, Big Bad Mama? Good to see you. Thanks for your. I loved your questions during the Kent Hovind debate, and uh, let's see. Hold on here. All right, what's up, Objective Ethics?
Hey, not much. Listen, this is my first time, on one of your lives or whatever. So I hope I'm not messing up whatever it is you're doing here. I just wanted to jump on really quick and just let people know a couple things. First of all, I have just really been grateful for this community. I'm an agnostic, and I really, I love studying history and religion and stuff. So I find myself engaging with a lot of theists, but it's a very painful process, as you guys are all aware. But we're what am I going to do? And so I've been finding more and more atheist communities and stuff to try and be a part of. But I'll be honest with you, because politically I'm an independent centrist, I don't have very strong political views left or right. I take a lot of crap from the atheist community as well, just because my political beliefs just aren't very strong. So I just really, sometimes I feel really left out in the cold, and you guys have been very, very gracious and really made me feel at home. And I just am really grateful. Captain Desk and Tilting Windmill and all of you guys have been great. And I just really appreciate you guys for that, and
Yeah.
want to just put that out there. But
Well,
to let people know that I'm actually in the middle right now of absolutely cooking about, I don't know, 20 or 30 Christians on historical errors in the Bible, focusing on the book of Daniel. So if anybody's interested in seeing something like that, I've got it going on their Discord right now, and I am absolutely shredding these guys.
where if you want, I can't make it to where you can do it from here. If you either, let's see, do I have private chat here? Um, hmm. Um, I have no way to do it. I don't think I have private chat when I'm in this way. But if you just drop it in my Discord or whatever, send me a link to your Discord or wherever that's going on at, and I'll post it for people to go check that out.
Yeah, I'll see if I can figure that out. I don't know how to post links using my phone, because I don't know how to drag and drop and cut and paste and all that kind of stuff with using my old cell phone. But I could just type in the name of the Discord. They have a YouTube channel, and if you go to their channel, they actually have the Discord link in their description. So I could do it that way. It's kind of a roundabout way of doing it, but I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah. Well, you can whatever you want to do. You can you're on my Discord. You can go and just post it in the chat there if you want. I think just about everybody here is on my Discord. Not everybody, but just about. If you post it over there, that way people can find it. But to the YouTube channel or however you want to do it, it doesn't matter. I can't post anything here without uh, going out of it and doing it in another place. I would have to go to the YouTube to do it. I don't know why I don't have private chat when I'm in. Let me see. Oh yeah, I do. If you send it to me in private chat, I can post it. Um, but but yeah, no, that sounds incredibly painful to me.
Yeah, it is. It is, because the whole thing started as the comment was that every single thing we find in archaeology proves the Bible to be true, and everybody in this chat knows that's exactly the opposite of what we find in archaeology. So I just made an offhanded comment that, like, well, no, there's a lot of historical errors in the Bible, and archaeology is a great way to find that out. And so they challenged me to this debate, And so I decided to focus on the book of Daniel, and because there's so much wrong with Daniel, as everybody knows, And so I've literally got all the sources. I've got all the archaeological evidence cited. The just all the stuff that the Van inscription, the Behistun stele. I mean, like I literally every single archaeological site that proves these are historical errors, going all the way from Belshazzar's lineage and Darius not being a Mede, he's a Persian, all this other stuff. I've got all the actual archaeological evidence as well as this peer-reviewed scholarship on it, all sourced there in that chat. So if anybody is curious about how to formulate that argument and have the receipts to back it up, it's all posted in their chat. And it's
Yeah.
hilarious because we're doing a debate about archaeological evidence, and this has been going on for 3 days. There's probably 500 posts at this point in that stupid debate, and they have yet to provide a single, I shit you not, brother, a single piece of archaeological evidence to back up their claim. Not one. All they've come up with so far as quote unquote sources have been religious apologists who make claims, who themselves don't cite any sources, which doesn't surprise anybody here, obviously. But I just cooking these guys right now. It's so funny.
Yeah, like historically speaking, um, so apologists do this weird thing to where they're like, well, Nazareth was an actual place, and like the temple really did exist, and like they use stuff like that, like because of certain aspects of the story, talk about real life places or things or actual events, like the Jewish people being occupied by the Romans, like so because of that it must be true, right? And that's really about as far as they go, I think. They
I think you're absolutely right about that. That's the criticism that good skeptics have. It's not that I'm trying to shoot down the religion, because I'm not an anti-theist. I actually have a lot of friends, like probably most of us, who are good people that are Christians, and so I'm not trying to convince people they should leave their religion or deconvert or what, they can do whatever they want with their lives. I have a problem when people use that religion to marginalize communities, you know what I mean, or to hurt marginalized communities and be bigoted and racist. Those are the things I do have a problem with, obviously,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
religion. But that's not all individual people are not like that. Like I say, I have a lot of gay friends that are Christians, for example. You know what I
sure,
mean? So it's not like you can't be you're automatically going to be a terrible person. But when people make these ridiculous claims that are just simply not true, that's what I have reservation with. And when they're teaching their kids things like Noah's flood is a historical event or the Earth is 6,000 years old, and then I hear, of course, I was listening to your not testimony, but your background there, and it's interesting. I heard somebody in the chat made a comment that the two of you, he has a lot in common with you, and I actually can resonate with a lot of what you said. I lost my father when I was 12, and so there's a lot of things in your story that I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. It just I can really resonates with me. But you talk about I'm going to call it what it is. I think you were abused mentally and physically as a child, by this religion or people from this religion, and I just think that when you start doing that kind of stuff, that's the stuff that we need to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute. You want to be a Christian, you want to be a whatever, you want to knock on people's doors and offer to do chores for them in your nice white shirts and stuff, no problem. But when you start smacking kids around or telling kids that the earth is only 6,000 years old and that, Noah or Moses rode a dinosaur onto the ark or whatever kind of silly nonsense they're telling these kids, that's where we got to
yeah,
put our feet down.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, looking back on it, I think that so at the time in rural Kentucky, um, there wasn't a lot of access. I mean, there were ways to get this information. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still have libraries and stuff, but there were ways to get this information, but it wasn't as easily accessible. So I think that there were a lot of people who believed the nonsense they were telling me and thought they were doing it for a good reason. Now, I think looking back on that now definitely sheds a bit of a different light on it. And there were definitely people who knew better who told me false things, for sure. There or should have. There were people who knew better but believed worse, right? But
Mhm.
but you know, some of it, I guess, would be considered that way. I don't really. I mean, but I have nothing to compare it to because I have one childhood that I grew up in, right? As far as like contemporarily, like contemporaneously. I don't know what the word is. But there's not. I don't have anything at the time to compare it to. Sure, I can compare it to the knowledge and the access to information we have now, but that's not the same as it was in the early and mid '90s, right? Like we didn't have all that. Like
Right,
internet.
right.
I got internet in '98, I think. Was the first time that I had ever even used the internet. So, you know, I don't know whether it was or not. I don't, I don't look at it that way. It's just the experience I had. But if I seen somebody doing to raising their children in the same atmosphere that I was raised in, I would definitely call it abuse. So, yeah, I get it. What's up, deconverted man?
Hi, hi. Hey, wanted to ask objective ethics a question about the archaeology thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, because I researched it once upon a time when I deconverted, but I didn't save any of my notes. I remember, and I don't know, it's so vague. I don't know that you're going to know this, but I remember stumbling across something that talked about a well that a group of archaeologists had found. They had dated coins in there or used coins for the dating, and it was not right for that particular Bible city or whatever. Then a Christian group came, found quote unquote coins that were dated to what they needed, and then of course nobody was allowed to see those coins. Does that sound familiar at all, or
I have not heard of this. Now, most of what I've been focusing, I will admit, is based on archaeology related to specifically to the Persian period regarding the Book of Daniel. So, King mostly around the reign of King Darius and Xerxes, a little bit into Cyrus, but we're talking about when Belshazzar was co-regent with his father Nabonidus, and then we have to look into Nebuchadnezzar's reign because this is all related to the Book of Daniel and stuff. So that's what I've been mostly focusing on right now. So the well, I know that doesn't have anything to do with the story of Daniel. Do you mind if I ask what particular part of the Bible that this is referring to? Because are you talking about the well that Jesus like drew the water from or something? Or
I don't know. It was so, I mean, I deconverted when I was 32 and I'm 46 now, so I don't remember, but I just remember vaguely running across some article talking about how archaeologists had found a well that would have confirmed one of the many places in the Bible, and they, there's a dating method to do with coins. Yeah,
yes,
and they didn't find anything of significance, so that wasn't that location. And then the Christian group had come along and said, "Oh no, no, we found the coins." I was like, "Yeah, right." Of course, and then no one was allowed to look at those coins. That was one of many frauds I had found during my research, and of course, Ron Wyatt was a big deal back then when I was researching. Now
yeah.
he's dead. Now he's dead, but still people use him.
They
Uh,
still they still go to that guy. He's
yeah,
been debunked so many
he-
times. They still
yeah.
go to that guy.
Even though he's dead and gone, and he's been debunked, people will still bring him up as if he was
Yeah.
of any use at all. But I just remember finding fraud after fraud after fraud, and thinking, wow, you don't need to make up stuff when you have the truth. And that really was a
Right.
big,
Right.
yeah. I'm glad that you're doing that, because I certainly am gonna look at that, because I would have loved to have done more research in the archaeology, but just seeing that people were willing to lie was more than enough to turn me off of that on that part of my deconversion at any rate. But
No,
um,
you're absolutely right, brother. And I have to say, Joe really touched on it when he mentioned that. We know, and he didn't expand on this, but what Joe is essentially saying is that we know that these are a real people group. They lived in a real part of the country, Egypt, in the land of Canaan, Mesopotamia. We know all these places existed. So that is not the problem that we have. The problem that we have is the embellishment of the history, which that's an issue. The other problem we have, of course, as skeptics, is related to the supernatural claims. So when you
Yeah.
start to look at, as Joe was touching on, when you say, well, look, we found a piece of evidence that shows that we have Hebrews in Egypt, so therefore the Exodus myth is a true story. That's how far in leaps and bounds they take it. And you just
Yeah.
can't do that, because that's not how these things,
Uh,
how the real world works.
Didn't they lately say that slavery in Egypt was more rare than we would have originally thought, that, or maybe,
Yes.
yeah, and that there wouldn't, if there had been slaves as Jews, there wouldn't have
I
been
mean,
as many as reported, or something like that.
there are a few things there. First of all, yes, there were slaves in Egypt, but it wasn't like a slave economy as it was in the surrounding areas. It
There
wasn't
weren't
as
2 million Hebrew slaves
Yeah,
specifically.
that's what I was
that too,
kind of
and
alluding to.
and beyond that, uh, the population of Egypt at the time that most people think the Exodus would have taken place is, if you give it what's the word, a generous estimation, you would come up to about 1.5 million people.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
there wasn't
yep.
even that
But
many Jews, so certainly
with
that
with
number is exaggerated.
with
Well, there were some that,
600,000 fighting men. That's what's mentioned in the Bible. That's not the old ones, not the younger, not the women, not the sick. You easily get up to about 2.4 million Jews leaving Egypt. How in holy fuck could they control a population of slaves that out out outdid their own population by so much?
Yeah, it's definitely an exaggeration.
But
Yeah.
I mean, we know Hebrews were in Egypt, or I shouldn't say Hebrews, more like Semitic people,
yes,
which
right,
is
right.
I wonder if the number is anything to do with numerology, because I know that Jewish
I
people love
bet it
that.
does.
It
I
always
bet it
does.
does.
Maybe, I don't know, but it's just a possibility tossed out there, or it's just exaggerated, or maybe both. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't know of any time a number is mentioned in the Bible where it's done arbitrarily like that. Like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah.
No, I think
777,
that
600, all these kind of like they're they're arranged to be, certain ways that mean something, or are significant, or whatever.
Why are there 42 kids being mauled by two female
bears.
bears?
The
Yeah.
how many witnesses? What is it? The however.
500.
Yeah, it's a nice round number. It's
Yeah.
like 525, give or take. Like that would have been more believable. No, there was exactly 500.
And more than
Well,
that, we know that the Jewish tradition from that time, they were playing around with numbers in that way, like
Yep.
in a magical kind of
There's something
what
with how they wrote the scrolls too, and I can't remember that's many
Yeah.
lines or something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember it offhand though.
Well, that was one of the common things, is like if you did something wrong or whatever under the Jewish faith, you were required to read so many lines of the Torah. Like you were required to sometimes write, or for those that could later on. But like they would make them sit and read so much of stuff, like so. Yeah, all of that stuff, and each scroll was so many lines and had to be so long. That's laid out in the Bible, though. God talks about
Yeah.
where like the way that they're supposed to keep these scrolls, and how big they're supposed to be, and all that stuff. Like,
Mm.
um,
I would also suspect that in modern times, doing archaeology in these biblical places is going to be really hard, because there's tourism there, and there's monetary incentive, so, and they're very controlled as far as I understand. Like,
Oh
Are,
yeah, I
are you
mean,
saying there's not really
Dick.
a boat on a mountain?
I saw that documentary. I forget what it was called, but I remember that where the guy, he owned a mountain, and some poor reporter tried to like do this whole documentary about it, and then he wouldn't take him to the top of the mountain.
Well, at various times
Dig
through
sites in
history,
Israel are guarded by armed guards.
oh yeah, well, at various times throughout history, the Israeli government, the Turkish government, well, what's now Turkey, of course, throughout the Middle East, those governments have the Egyptian government even has
Oh yeah,
leveraged antiquities different ways to for tourism and stuff, like just like they'll let people come and say, the rock that this is the rock that Moses split. Although there's rocks like that everywhere, but they'll let people come see it. They just won't let anyone test it. Trust us. Ron Wyatt tested it.
Yeah.
Whatever to bring in the money. There's a lot of shady
There's a
stuff.
lot of different disciples buried under various churches and stuff like that too. Yeah, sure. Can we see him? No. He's down there though. Trust me. Yeah.
Well, remember
I mean it's
one
a
thing just
tale
to
as
touch on
old
real
as
quick about
time.
this. Yeah.
Anyways,
So
There's a
just one thing real
reason.
quick. Yeah,
sorry.
let me just touch. Sorry, just real quick. No, just before we get too off on this, I did want to touch on one thing though, because the sister mentioned the period around the 1500 and before the Common Era, and when they're talking about the Exodus. Remember that there were a Semitic group of people known as the Hyksos, who were in
Yeah.
Yep,
fact in a large group of people that were in fact involved in Egypt and who were in fact exiled from Egypt. But these people were not slaves. They actually controlled the northern kingdom. They had a fucking king in place. You know what I mean? So it wasn't. I can't
exactly.
remember Mose
Uh,
or something like that was the guy who actually ended up getting rid of those guys. But
mm,
they were in charge of the Northern Kingdom for I think a period of almost 200 years. So we do
so
have evidence of the Semitic people being around there. But
Yeah.
those were not slaves;
the
those guys were making
the
tons of money.
the
Well,
Hyksos ruled in Egypt during the Second Intermediate Period, which is around 1200. No, not 1200. Around 16 to 1500.
Yeah, 16 to
Simultaneously,
1550. Yeah, yeah,
simultaneously with uh, a native king who ruled Upper Egypt, meaning the southern part.
right, right,
And
right.
they weren't actually as much exiled. They still kind of lived up there. Sure, people effed off, but the truth is that we don't know really where the Hyksos. It only means the name Hyksos means rulers of foreign land.
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
We think they were of some Semitic background due to how they depict themselves and the clothes they're wearing. They look in a specific way, but we know that they were still around, and it was actually Sekenentara who, if I'm not completely misremembering, who expelled them. No, it was Kamos and Amos that expelled the
Yeah.
Mose,
Hyksos.
yes, right, right. Which is interesting because Amos is so phonetically similar to Moses. And in Egyptian, Moses simply means, if I remember right, son of. So you could see how
No,
the blocks were all there.
Moses in
Son of man.
Egypt, in ancient Egyptian means born.
Born
Born
of. Oh,
of man.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Uh, but the thing is that, yeah, it sounds kind of the same, but it's not the same name.
So
And it's also a like Ramesses.
So just to, and maybe Kip would be a better person to ask this about. Correct me if I'm wrong, Deviant. The So whenever they talk about the tribe of Judah, there were lots of these smaller tribes that many of were warmongers. I mean, that's what they did. They pillaged.
Yeah.
So there were groups that moved in and out of Egypt around that time,
Yeah.
and but not to the extent. I think what's in the Bible goes beyond exaggeration and into like pure fantasy. Like it's and
Yeah, and I
obviously,
mean, shouldn't the Bible kind of mention that these people used to rule in their own right
yeah,
part of the two lands? That's kind of important. They paint this picture of Joseph or whoever it is being sold to Egypt, and from there he brings his family over, and the family grows, and voila, you have all of these Hebrew slaves.
yeah,
Uh, that so this is the thing. Apologists always they latch on to like the smallest detail. I mean, like, oh yeah, but on the Merneptah stele, this name is mentioned. I think it's the place where I think it's Israel that is
Yes.
mentioned as a group of people, not as a name of someone or a country, but a group of people. Like, yeah, that's cool. So it doesn't say shit jack about anything about the Bible account.
yeah,
We
yeah.
know that there were a group of people that were called the Israelites.
The
So how do you get from there to zombie Jesus and Sioux boats and talking donkeys and
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. There's I mean, the Bible is the only book that tells that. That's the only source for
Yeah,
that particular story. Anything close to it, like no other account of history is the same. And there were historians present, so none of them bothered to write any of that. Their story's a bit different, or at being the most charitable, their story, the historical view of things leaves out quite a few of those events.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree completely. I think I think Kip would be a good person to have in on this conversation. Kip knows a lot about that particular time period with the Israelites, Hebrews,
Yeah, but
whatever. Um,
I have a bit of an issue with Kip as a on a personal note because I have given up hope on Joshua Bowen.
sure.
I have many times told him what to do and he simply refuses. So I have instead tried Kip to either go into the field himself or force Joshua into becoming an Egyptologist because we need one of them in Egyptology and we
Sure.
don't have them. And the only thing I can see going forward to make this demand of mine come true is for me to just snub him and shit talk him when he's not here.
Well, uh, I'll defend Kip's good name for
No,
you
I
here.
love Kip. He's great.
So to be fair, Kip is an expert on the Dead Sea Scrolls, and
Yes.
whenever I had a conversation with Kip about these things a while back, which was a very good show, Kip Kip is very clear about like this is my area of expertise. I'm not going to speak on whether these other things are true, and they may or may not be, and whatever. But I can tell you
You
the
mean
Dead
he's
Sea
an
Scrolls
honest
and
scholar?
about the people who wrote them and why and how and all those details. So Kip tries to keep his nose out of places it doesn't belong,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that personally.
And so does Josh, and
Yeah,
I very much appreciate it. It's actually one of the reasons that I admire him so much.
yeah, yeah.
The
But
one issue that I have, the one issue that I have about actually both these people you're talking about, but when he talks about Kip, now I have a great deal of respect for their background, their education, and the scholarship they do. So I don't want to, I'm not. Hopefully, I'm not going to, betray that because I do respect their knowledge. The problem
sure,
I have is I tend to be a person who, I believe that we should be treating people with respect, even when we disagree with them at all times. We gotta really, especially in our position as skeptics, religious people think they hold the moral high ground. And if we are disrespectful and rude and dismissive, that just gives them more ammunition, frankly. So I just always believe we should always treat people with respect. And if you can't say what you need to say respectfully, just walk away. That's my how I live my life personally. So my
yeah,
issue with Kip in particular is that I don't know if you probably know about this, but this happened a long time ago. But he came after Richard Carrier and literally just tried to discredit him and just talk so much shit about Carrier. And I understand that Carrier's mythicist view was very fringe at the time. It's still on the outside, but it's gained a lot of traction over the years. But,
yeah,
10 years ago or whatever it was when he came out with this, that was a very fringe view. And I understand you're going to draw a circle on your back when you do that. But I just don't respect the way that people attacked him as opposed to simply dealing with the argument. That's the one thing. The other thing is, I don't know if you guys are followed any of that stuff that happened with Derek on his Myth Vision channel and regarding Dr. Price, and you know what I'm talking about. And
yeah.
Kip
Yep.
I
Davis and
covered
Josh
it.
Boyd, they definitely. I mean, say what you want to say about, this was not an issue about scholarship. This was an issue about politics at that point, and the way that those guys handled all that. Again, I'm an independent centrist, so I'm never going to be on the right side of anybody's argument, whether they're on the far right or the far left. I'm always going to be wrong no matter what. I have
Yeah,
no allies there, but the way that whole thing went down, that kind of stuff, man. I just lost a lot of respect for all the people involved in
But
that on both sides, frankly.
I think you need to understand that first of all, Kip is personal friends with some of the people that Derek just literally shat at.
yeah,
And it is also, we're in a time, you say you're a centrist, and I'm not fully sure about what that means in US terms because your division is not quite as ours. I mean, when you say leftist, when someone is talking about communism and leftism in the US, I kind of laugh because it's very different from here. Either way, uh, we're in a time now where innocent people uh, are being used as scapegoats, and the personal cost for those people is staggering. It's devastating. And being being an empathetic person, being someone who also has friends within those groups, and watching another friend, someone he has considered to be a friend, meaning Derek, uh, act that way towards those people, I get that is upsetting, uh, and I think it's a good thing to take a stance when people are being demonized for what? For existing, basically. So, but I hear what you say. I do agree somewhat on the carrier part.
yeah,
Uh, I,
yeah,
not that I think Kip should like agree with with
No, no, no,
Carrier.
no, no. I don't think that either.
That's not it.
Yeah,
No, and I understand that's not what you're saying either. Uh, but perhaps the what ought to be an academic discord turned way more personal. If I'm
exactly.
not misremembering, I was semi following it back then, but it's been quite many years now. Uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, absolutely. At the same time, I very much uh, appreciate him as a scholar. I respect his knowledge, and I very much appreciate and respect the fact that I have on several occasions just seen him in a chat, thrown out a question about something, and he's come back uh, with sources, references. He's answered my question, and this is like, I'm not his student. Uh, to him, I'm just some mofo in a chat on his free time, uh, and I really admire and
Sure.
appreciate that.
No, I think that's commendable too. I agree absolutely 100% with that. And I think he should be commended for that. That's very generous of him because when you have a degree, when you have credentials, your time is money. Your time is actually worth something, you know. But as far as it goes, a centrist. So when I here in America, we're supposed to have a three-party system where we have the left, the right, and then the middle, but we don't have the middle has no representation. So everybody in America knows it's really a two-party system. And as a
Yeah.
centrist, I tend to agree with some issues from the left and some issues from the right. I don't have an allegiance. I'm not beholden to a political party. So I'm more than willing to admit, you know what? Maybe the people on the right are being unfair or too extreme when they say things like, "Oh, gay people shouldn't get married," for example. That's obviously ridiculous. You know, adults should be free to do what consenting adults want to do, and they should not be vilified for it. They should not be condemned for it. We should not be making special rights such as marriage only available to a heterosexual couple. That is insanely bigoted. I couldn't, you know, so I can look at the right and say you guys are wrong with that. I can look at issues that the left is aligning themselves up with and say, you know what, you guys are actually not right here. Now that doesn't mean that I'm correct. I'm not trying to say that I'm always right. I'm just trying to say that I try to have a very balanced view of everything in I really do try to step back from a situation and consider all the evidence and then try to make a more informed decision. That's actually why I call myself objective ethics. Isn't because I think that there's such a thing as objective morals, although I am trying to develop a theory about that because I think it's an interesting discussion. But the objective ethics is about I think everybody should step back from the situation and look at what's good for the whole, what's good for the community, what's good for everybody and everybody's best interest. And usually that comes down to the least harmful thing, right? Less harm. We talk about harm reduction and stuff. And if we're
Yeah.
doing that, then technically we're kind of being more objective about it. That's why I'm trying to get people to think along those lines by using the name objective ethics. A lot of people think I'm a religious person, you know, because objective ethics kind of insinuates objective morality and stuff. So I get so many smart ass comments from Christians. Not very objective of you there, objective ethics. You
Yeah, but they probably don't understand the difference between ethics and morality.
know, they don't.
So,
So,
so we've got about 6 minutes left here before I have to hard stop this. So let me say something about the situation of Myth Vision and Derek and all that.
No.
You're right that this is rooted in there is a political basis in there, but I don't think that my problem with Derek, and I think most people's issue with Derek, isn't isn't because he's on the left or right. I think that I think that what it comes down to is that those things that Bob Pross has stood up for politically are harmful, and he has said hateful, harmful, awful things, and that's on Bob, right? But what happened is, and the reason that everybody got the reason that many people got upset about it is that what he did was he understood what was wrong with those things at one point and went online because of pressure from his own community and said, hey, I was wrong to do those things, and cried and had a whole big thing where he knew those things were wrong, and then came out and said that he never really meant that and didn't want to do that, but he did it because of pressure from the atheists, from that they were the ones doing it, and that it's these extreme atheists that are causing all this and everything, when really it was his dishonesty, and then refusing to take accountability for his mistakes and trying to push it back on the community for pointing them out. Like, I think that's the thing that got everybody pissed off. And while there is a political issue at the heart of it, I don't think that's all of it. And as for Kip being drug into this, Derek did that. I mean, Derek decided to throw Kip's name out there and start going on about, because Kip hangs out with some people that Derek doesn't get along with. And I think also with the Richard Carrier thing, I think there's kind of a bit of a miscommunication there, where over on GE's channel, Richard Carrier and GE had this conversation. Richard Carrier had already wrote the book, though, right? But
Years ago.
but they had this conversation and stuff that stirred all this up. And then whenever GE got a chance to talk to Kip about it, that kind of blew the whole thing up, and you had it like there was this controversy that wasn't really there. So I don't, but I think I think what Derek did, not only is he wrong morally and all those other things, like also on top of that, which is okay, he can be. Um, the problem was is that his dishonesty, and then wanting to turn around and blame his problems on the atheist community itself. Um, yeah, I think that was my biggest issue with how he handled it. Now, his position on that, of course, like you were kind of being adjacent to there. I believe in humanist values, and I think that both of what how Derek handled that situation and Bob Price's earlier comments are both harmful to different people for different reasons.
Yeah.
And there's of course crossover. So that so I somewhat agree, but like I don't think the backlash was over a political thing. I think that was just the foundation of what started it.
Can I just let me give you guys the last word? I know you're getting out of time, and I just want to say really quick, Deviant Outcast, I've actually come
Mhm.
across you on several different channels and stuff, and I think you're very intelligent. You have a lot of great things to offer conversation. So I'm just so honored and pleased that you came in here, so I had a chance to kind of rap with you a little bit personally. And then
Oh,
Joe, I gotta say, brother, you are extremely intelligent. I don't know what your education level
I
is, but that
know.
debate you did against was it Kent Hovind or who was it? I'm thinking. Bro, you nailed it, man. You absolutely crushed. I was so impressed with how you were able to answer. You were able to give answers for a variety of questions. He wouldn't answer anything, directly, but you did get him to admit that everything he's basing his arguments on was faith, which I thought was a huge W for you. So anyway, I want to get out of your guys' way and let you guys close up. But like I said, it's such an honor to meet both of you guys officially. Just really enjoyed the conversation, and hopefully we get a chance to chop it up again sometime.
Oh yeah. You're
Absolutely.
welcome to come
Thank
on
you very
anytime.
much for very, very kind
And,
words.
and and thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. My education level is that I have an associate's degree and most of a bachelor's degree. Um, I did not start yelling, but yeah. So it's not so much. I'm just well versed in these arguments. I've just heard them a lot, and that's really it. Like
What
I
Joe
just
isn't saying is that everyone around him can recognize how freaking intelligent he is, and he can deny
Brilliant.
it. He
Brilliant.
can hide behind, I don't know what, uh, that piece of wood in the background, perhaps. But it's true. It's why we love this channel. That and his empathy.
well, I
Yeah, that
appreciate.
actually is the biggest part. Yeah, I agree. And I just really enjoyed the community and all the people in the chat too, which I'm going to jump back into the chat. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Yeah.
You
All right.
take
So,
care.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
to meet
Thanks
you.
for coming on and come join anytime. In fact, I'll try to get I'll get in touch with you and we'll figure out a time where you and I can sit down and do a whole show and talk about some stuff. Um,
Oh, we got so many topics we could hit. That'd be great.
yeah, yeah. I'd love to have you on and we could sit talk about some stuff. So that'd be great. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Everybody, you're gonna be redirected over to Dave's channel, The Captive Desk, for Saturday Night at
Woohoo!
the Atheist. They're going to look at some apologist stuff over there tonight. And so go over there, and if you're not subscribed to Dave's channel, subscribe while you're there. Give the video a like, and then if you don't want to stay, go. But go over and show Dave some love. Dave's a good friend and has been part of this community and made content for a long time. And whether you're particularly fond of Dave or not, doesn't really matter. Dave puts a lot of time and effort into this, and go over and show him a little bit of love just for trying, even if you don't want to sit and watch. Yes, Robin, I can call you. Give me about 30 minutes. I'll have to see what's going on after I get off here. But so I'm going to cut this stream off. Everybody will be sent over there. I'll be back next Saturday at 3 p.m. with Brandon, was that his name? Reverend Pastor Hendrickson or Hendricks to talk about Jesus and the resurrection and the historicity of that. So we're going to have a long conversation about that stuff and why I don't accept some of his positions. So definitely check us next time for that. I'll be on Monday with a member stream for those of you that are members. If you're not a member, click that.
Become a member.
Sorry. Click that join button down there and grab a membership for 99 cents. There, and you can get on those. The our member streams sometimes go on for 5-6 hours. Just depends on what we're talking about. But
And they're the best.
yeah,
I can
we have a lot of
attest.
fun during those.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you everybody for coming, and thank you for all of you guys that subscribe and support the channel. I truly appreciate it. I will catch you next time. Have fun at Dave's. Later.
Bye.